In today's lesson, we'll look at solving quadratic equations graphically. So our objective will be to solve a quadratic equation graphically. To do this, I want to give you a quadratic equation. Now, I want to make sure you understand. You could do this problem several other ways. If you added 8 to both sides, you would end up with x squared minus 9x plus 18. You could factor that. You could use the quadratic formula on that. But to factor and use the quadratic formula, it would have to be equal to 0. That's not a big deal and you could do it, but if you didn't want to do that, you could still solve graphically right here. And I want to remind you, we've done solving graphically before. It was just using linear equations. It works exactly the same way when we solve quadratics graphically. Our first step is to take the left side and graph that as y1. Then we take the right side of the equation and graph that as y2. When you solve graphically, you're doing this on your calculator. So once I enter those two curves, this is what you should see on your calculator. First, let's examine the graph just a little bit and make sure we're still all together here. The parabola that you see here is what you entered right here as y1, so that's the parabola that you see here. You entered as y2 is equal to negative 8. That's the straight line you see right here. When we solve graphically, we're always interested in intersections. So I'm interested in two intersections this time, right here and right here. Now I can't simply just read the graph and identify for sure what those intersections are. So let me remind you of these steps. And by the way, we've done these before, so I won't put the keystrokes on the screen, but I will talk you through them. You will do second calc and then choose intersection. When you do that, your calculator will come back and say first curve. I want to remind you, your task when it says first curve is to place this little blinking cursor right here close to the first thing you want it to find, which is the intersection, and I'm going to do the one on the left right here, that intersection. So I need to put that blinking cursor close to that intersection. I then hit enter, and the calculator will say second curve. Once again, I need to position the blinking cursor close to this same intersection. You're going to finish this one first before you start the other one, just like we did when we did absolute value problems graphically. Once it says second curve and I have positioned my cursor here, I hit enter again. It says guess, and when I hit enter again, I should see that the calculator has found the first intersection for me, and what it's telling me is that this location right here is 3, negative 8. That's what it's telling you there on the screen, 3, negative 8. Let me remind you, the part I'm going to be interested in is the x value. When I solve graphically, I'm only looking for that x value. But the fact of the matter is, I have another intersection to find. So let's find it now. I go all the way back again and start the process from the beginning. Second calc, choose intersection. The calculator will say first curve, and I want to remind you this time you need to place your blinking cursor close to this intersection. When you hit enter, it will say second curve. Place it again close to that intersection. When you hit enter again, it will say guess. And when you hit enter one more time, you find the second intersection. What this is telling you is that the second intersection is 6, negative 8. That's what it tells you right here on the screen, and this is the part that I'm interested in. Now remember, when we solve quadratics, we're expecting at most 2 answers. We know in this case there should be 2 because we see 2 intersections. So it turns out that your 2 answers are x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 6. They're the x values of each of those intersections. Now let me remind you, this is just one more way to solve a quadratic equation. I want to leave you with my thought for the day, and it's one I really like for 2 reasons. The first reason is that I think it's probably pretty accurate. And the second reason is it's got some math in it. If you treat people right, they will treat you right 90% of the time. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.